The United Kingdom Supreme Court has ruled that it was too late for a group of Nigerian claimants to sue two Shell subsidiaries over a 2011 offshore oil spill. Shell had disputed the allegations and said the Bonga spill was dispersed offshore and did not impact the shoreline. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court upheld rulings by two lower courts that found the plaintiffs had brought their case after the 6-year legal expiry date. A group of 27,800 people and 457 communities living in the Delta have been trying to sue Shell, saying the leftover oil spill polluted their lands and waterways, as well as damaged farming, fishing, drinking water, mangrove forests, and religious shrines. Now, joining me to discuss this development is the former president's movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Legosi Saro Piagbara. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, what's your reaction to the UK's Supreme Court on the basis that the plaintiffs had brought their case after the 6-year legal expiry date?
Well, thank you for putting me on this. It is quite unfortunate that we are getting this judgment. As far as we are concerned, we've had so much of an extra territorial legislation and in this period, of course, it has become a sign of hope for most communities in Niger Delta because they felt that taking cases to the UK and other parts of the world is going to expand the access for justice than what is being obtained at home. But what we've had now, of course, is unfortunate, but it doesn't in any way stop the community in Niger Delta from continuing the fight. If you look at the judgment, it didn't go into the merit of the case. So it only said that the time it took them long to get the case to the court, but it didn't go into dealing with the merit. I mean, particularly whether this case was examined in a way that the issue that communities have raised are issues to be dealt with. So, I mean, to that sector, to that extent, of course, it is frustrating. That's how I've said it will not stop communities in Niger Delta from continue to seek for justice.
Okay, now that drives me to my second question. You said that this judgment will not stop the communities in the Niger Delta from seeking, from further justice, seeking further justice. Now, I must ask you specifically, what next after this judgment for the Ogoni people?
Well, as you know, this judgment is not really looking at Ogoni. It's related more to the, but not just that, even not related directly. The fact remains that and when you go to court, there are two things. One, either you win or you lose. Some other cases, the Ogoni community have won in court, even in the UK. And of course, in this case, it's a lost battle. But as I said, it doesn't mean that we have to go back home and bury our head in shame. It is not a shameful thing. I think we must all move with the pride. There is something Kesero said in those days, that he's not the only one on trial. That Shell is also here on trial, and that he predicts that the gentleman of the city in Niger Delta will come, and that one day Shell will be in court. I think for me, all these series of cases against Shell, particularly in their own home countries, in the UK and the Netherlands, is a clear confirmation of the prophecy that came made several years ago. That today, not just in the shores of Nigeria, but Shell is being docked even in their home countries. So for me, that prediction has come true. I think we should all move with pride that we're able to take Shell to this extent where they're being held accountable for their sins, for their activities, or if they are irresponsible acts in the Niger Delta. I think that for me is a big victory. This is something that nobody dared to do or tried to do maybe 40 years ago. But today, Shell has realized that their activities can always be challenged. And this is also a lesson, not just to share, but other oil companies operating here, that they can no longer operate unchecked. They can no longer operate with reckless abandon as if the community doesn't count. They can no longer operate in a manner that is suggested the fact that they fear nobody will question them. I think the one thing about justice and of course peace is the ability for people to seek for justice, the ability for people to be able to vent out bring up their matters. Why are we running away from Nigeria? People are running away from Nigeria because they felt that the judiciary, one, is not treating matter like with some speed. They are not addressing matter in a way that make the community to feel that they have been justly treated. But you see the speed with which these matters are being disposed of. You see the way that these matters are being heard. And of course, even though at the end of the day you lose, you still have a sense of self-satisfaction that they did their best. So in that circumstance, of course, I think that my people from the Niger Delta need to feel proud, need to be comforted that they're able to bring a multinational giant like Shell to court to be held accountable for the misdeeds in the Niger Delta. That for me is still a victory, even though we didn't get the ultimate victory that they've sought for in the courts.
Well, Legbosi Saro Piagbara, who is the former president, a movement of the survival of Ogoni people, many thanks for your contribution on this matter.